Delighted to be here again to talk about Payzaar, but I suppose more importantly, the payroll industry and how it works. So I'll kick off a few, I suppose, tee-up slides for the session, just maybe to get us thinking about how this industry works, how our payroll service is constructed, what are some of the challenges out there, and why we believe technology will help. So as part of our role in the industry is to help customers and providers of payroll services, to interact together in a more seamless, integrated kind of way is one of the key reasons why we founded Payzaar. And as part of our market engagement, we understand how a lot of payroll service providers operate today. And if we think about how their services are constructed, typically a business that's backboned by really good service organizations, really good people, and they're supported by tools like commercially bought off the shelf payroll software to allow them to calculate payroll for their end customers. And as those businesses have grown, they've built maybe other tools to help them scale around their managing maybe customer calendars and spreadsheets. They might have some sort of ticketing system to help interaction with customers. Email and spreadsheets are ubiquitous, and these are all practical things that when a business starts off and starts to grow, these are practical ways of trying to coordinate your service with your customers. But it gets to a point where your business outgrows these tools, and like to drive overall efficiency and profitability, topics like information security become more important. The employee experience, your own employee experience, the people that are delivering service to your customers become more important. And therefore you've kind of outgrown your initial roots, and it's time to transform. It's time to muscle up in the organization to be able to deliver at bigger scale. And against this kind of environment where you've organically grown the business, where you've put together practical tools at the stage of development of the organization, you're now maybe gone up market a little bit in terms of the segments that you're serving with your payroll service. Competition gets harder. Retaining customers become really tough. And efficiency, I mentioned before, so kind of the three key pillars of a successful business, these all become challenging. And we at Payzaar believes there's an opportunity now with a platform like ours to think about how to transform your business. And it's one thing Payzaar talking about it, but we really need to look at this through the eyes of the customer. So if you could flip forward, please, Angelique, to the next slide. What are our customers looking for? What are customers of payroll services looking for? They're looking for more advanced tools that give them self-service capability, tools that enhance the information security posture of their own organizations, tools that add automation. Like one of the key things that we see in the provision of services and the consumption of payroll services, this industry of checking of payroll inputs by the client, payroll outputs by the client and the provider, and an awful lot of this can be automated, and an awful lot of this can be self-serviceable, and for the benefit of both, because this is, if you're to talk to any proficient Lean Six Sigma type provider, they'll say to you, look, one of the biggest forms of waste is overchecking and overprocessing, and what we do in payroll, there's an awful lot of overchecking going on, and software should really be doing it. So customers want that better experience. They want to check just the exceptions. They want to check everything, and I think your teams would benefit from that as well. So we give our customers self-service capabilities to collaborate all in one tool with your business, with your payroll specialist, so everything is all in one place. And we also need to help you to defend your marquee clients, to drive that customer retention of yours. That's so important. So now if we flip forward, it'd be great, and we take a look at what is a payroll bureau or payroll provider management platform, management solution. We do things like workflow. Right? We help you to manage the tasks that are in front of your payroll specialist now, but also help manage your customer. Give your customer alerts when they need to interact with the tools to meet the deadlines that both of you need to meet to get people paid successfully on time and accurately. And our solution has built-in workflow for this. We transform data to get it into your payroll engine easily. But what this does is it removes the need of manual intervention for you. And we know that with the best will in the world, when we start to manually craft and slice and dice data, introduce errors. And we know if errors creep through the payroll process to impact the employee, who's the ultimate customer of this, to impact the employee, what that does is it just generates an awful lot of heat and discontent in the relationship between the employee and the employer. And that heat then gets pushed back onto the payroll service provider. So tools that reduce the number of touch points through that data flow process are really important for you. And tools that actually, and the customer is not innocent in this either, because whether we like it or not, the customer has a complex data payroll impacting data environment as well, because they're pulling data from lots of different sources within their organization. So push the technology to improve the data quality of the client at source. And we really help with those. And this is all around this data validation piece. So reduce the checking, check data at source, reduce the level of manual intervention in this process, drives up the overall quality of this, and takes out all of this unnecessary over processing and over checking, driving efficiency. You're audit ready using our workflow, full segregation of duties, full audit ready. Your customer's audit ready as well. All of the conversations, all of the data exchange that went into creating that payroll, went into the inputs, the approval, the payments, etc. That's all ticked and tied within the solution, and make sure that you and your client are audit ready at the drop of a hat. And standardization, you cannot drive efficiency at scale. You cannot drive higher margins unless you bring standardization to your process, because the market will only tolerate a certain ceiling in the fees the customer is willing to pay. So you need to be optimizing what you're doing and looking for elements of standardization. And we help with that, because how you treat your customers is standardized across the platform, no matter who the customer is. They're interacting in the same way. Plus, your teams are operating to that standard model as well. So that gives them predictability about how they work. And it allows you to just to dial up the efficiency all around for everybody. So moving forward, we've touched on many of these items as well. Like, and that visibility of your customer activity is key and important, and your customers are expecting it. And where this becomes really handy is in situations where, for example, there are disputes between customers and yourself around a heated subject like an incorrect net pay calculation, or an incorrect filing to the compliance authorities. But having the confidence to look back through an application like ours gives you the ability to tick and tie the actions that went in that resulted in that problem. And they could be yours as the provider, and you're going to have to put your hand up. But often as not, they're the customers as well, because the customer has their end of the bargain to keep up in terms of giving you the data you need to the schedule you've both agreed in a condition and a format that you want. And when that doesn't happen, that creates stress in this process. So that's all of that dialogue, all of that data exchange that's happened is all encapsulated in one place. Where this becomes really, really pointed is if you have a query from the tax authorities, or if you have a dispute with your client, and someone has left your organization or someone has left your client organization, you're trying to piece the instructions together from email chains, and it just becomes really, really difficult. We spoke about integration, validation, visualization. The piece that's important in here is providing additional services to your client through data visualization. Really important, like payroll is a tremendous source of valuable data, and often I suppose your counterparts on the customer side in payroll is pushing to get the payroll process completed. But members of the wider finance community in those client organizations want to see what's happening from a payroll perspective. So being able to give them rich, self-serviceable data is an important feature of our platform as well, and an important way of extending your reach within your customer organizations into the wider community, and help you to outcompete what's also in the market. GL integration is also a challenge sometimes because of the commercial off-the-shelf software that you've bought. You mightn't have the control, or you mightn't have the skills in-house necessary to be able to produce general ledger journal entry output in the format that your clients want. They might be changing their finance system. They might need to produce a local GL and a global GL, and these different formats, and we can cope with those, and they're value-added services in our application. And in fact, what you can do is you can give the execution of these outputs back to the customer, so the customer can run them on demand. Payroll data is in there, the chart of accounts is in there. There are service opportunities for you to increase your service touch and your service revenues with those clients around GL services. An employee self-service portal, again, the ultimate customer payroll is making sure that that person goes home paid right. They're able to, pay their mortgages, their car loans, feed a family. They're the most important people in this whole process. And our employee portal gives them access to what they need as well. We mentioned audit ready, audit trail. We mentioned information security, and solution like ours help to improve your information security posture, because if your data is encapsulated and that data communication is encapsulated all within a solution like Payzaar, it reduces the touch points where data is at rest in your organization. There's less to protect in your organization, and you know that having an ISO certified platform will help you to compete for those larger accounts you want to win. And a key item is this is self-provisioned and self-maintained. So Payzaar would give you a tool to be able to onboard your own clients when you want, have the freedom and control then to negotiate your own commercials, claim whatever service revenues you want. So it's a single platform that enables an awful lot of these really good operational efficiencies, while at the same time allowing you to build incremental value-added services to your customer. So moving ahead, please, Angelique. So what does it look like before and after? Look, before, I think we introduced platforms like Payzaar, things are starting to get hard for you. Growing your client base, there's scalability challenges there. That's hitting the top line, but it's also hitting your bottom line. Like, how can you scale faster? How can you do more with the same or more with less? Your existing customers that have been loyal to you for some time, they haven't seen maybe much innovation in the service you're offering. Maybe they're talking to their colleagues in the industry, asking what other providers are offering. And I suppose it introduces this theme that maybe if you're a leader in a payroll service organization, you ask yourself the question, well, look, do I want to be disrupted by my competitors and, find retaining clients become even more difficult and growing my client base becomes even harder? Or do I want to disrupt myself first and embrace change and think about ways in which platforms like ours can help you to retain and grow your business? And that scale piece impacts your profitability. Certain tools are very relying on email and Excel and commercially off the shelf purchased payroll engines. These are all great tools to get going, but the costs as your business scales, the cost of working like that indefinitely starts to impact your profitability. Purely and simply, you can't scale. You have maybe a linear relationship between the number of clients and the number of people you need to take on. We should be looking at technology to stack things in the favor of the business leader to drive profitability, claim bonuses, and take more from the hard-earned profits of the business and share those. Competitiveness then becomes a big issue, I think, and we've already spoken about how this fractured environment impacts the customer experience, and also we have it down here in tight labor markets, and especially in our industry at the moment. The employee experience, the people that are delivering the services to your customers, we really need to look after those employees. We need to think about the employee experience. We need to think about the tools we're giving them to serve the customers. We need to think about those payroll errors that are introduced through a lot of manual processes, poor condition of data that results in heated conversations with customers that are utterly unnecessary. Think about the churn in your payroll team over the last 12, 24 months and think to yourself, well, you know, if we had a better working experience in our organization, would we have cut down that churn? If we think about then, I'd argue that after introducing a solution like ours, when we look at the case study a little bit later, the benefits are a superior customer experience, customers getting more from you as a service provider and more of what they want. Operational efficiency, key to being able to scale a business to grow, increase profitability, and happier team members. You know, happier team members delivering better services for your clients. So what does this all look like then? If we flip forward, please, Angelique.
Yeah, I think this would be also a good time actually just to get to interact a little bit with you guys listening and actually ask you, what do you find is the biggest challenge? It might be one of these, it might be something a little bit different, but we have got a poll here. We're just going to open up for you. And you should see the question there. Give you like 30 seconds just to give us a little idea of what the challenges you're facing at the moment. Or it might be various. You can also choose various. So you should have it popped up there on the screen. Just give you a little bit of time to answer that. And you can select, as I said, you can select multiple if you feel that there's a couple of different things you're facing at the moment. Okay, give it a few more seconds and then I'm going to end the poll. Perfect. 10 more seconds. Anyone else who wants to contribute? And then we're going to end the poll. Okay. So here we can have a look. It's quite clear that there's two at least here today, which is the customer experience, which we were just touching on at the end there, and also retention. So as well as growing, actually retaining the customers. Is that what you expected from our existing clients, Trevor, or are you surprised by that?
I think on the provider side, I'm not surprised because I know the environment is, you know, very competitive, right? So yeah. In a competitive environment, you need to work really, really hard to retain your customers, and then to retain them, you need to be putting services in front of them that they want to maintain. So no, I'm not. It's a tough environment, and payroll services, once they're won, they're hard won. You really need to look after those customers and deliver on promise, which I know payroll providers and payroll folks generally go above and beyond for that. But there comes a time when you need to rethink your capabilities and the service offering to be able to exceed expectations, because today's exceed expectations is taken for granted in 24 months' time, is then superseded again in 36 months' time. So back to that point of disrupting yourself. So I'm not surprised with those results, essentially.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like the work doesn't stop there after you're growing new clients. It's also retention and also differentiation. Having something that makes your service stand out, which we'll be touching on later as well, about how you can sort of use technology to do that. So yeah, thank you everyone. I'll close that poll now. And I shall continue with the next slide.
Right. Okay. So what am I talking about here? What are kind of key elements of this solution? If we think about Payzaar as a technology, or you could change that logo, put your business name in the middle. You're managing these processes that interact between customers' source systems. And if we think about all of the source systems a customer may have to push data towards payroll, you know, there's HR systems, there's time and labor systems, commission systems for sales commissions, equity, local benefits. There's a whole host of them over here, right? So the customer has a problem that they're trying to beat. They're trying to knock their data, their fragmented data environment into shape to send data to push into payroll. And once payroll is calculated, there's other systems then that need to consume that data to be able to produce the accounts, like the finance system. And what we have in here in the middle is we've spoken about our workflow. So our operation control, getting customers to move to a standardized environment. We've spoken about security. We've spoken about data validation. So data validation at source before those inputs leave the customer, they're in way better shape. They're transformed into a format that you can consume without the need for manual intervention. That data, you know, connects with the pulse data from HR and those other source systems. Once we've calculated payroll, we can drive reporting and analytics on a self-service basis for your clients. We can produce pay slips and push those out to your client's employees. We can generate your general ledger journal entries and push those to your finance system. So the job around orchestrating the data, orchestrating your service, your collaboration, your communication, your data transformation, that's taken care of by Payzaar here, and typically not taken care of by your local payroll engine. So either you're not offering these services today, or you are offering these services today, but maybe in a suboptimal type fashion. But what we do know is your customers need them and they want them. So our platform is here to sit on top of your current payroll engine. What we don't do is we're not asking you to rip out your payroll engine in any way. So I think it's nearly time to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about here. Angelique, if I'm not mistaken, is it over to Naveen to run the demo and maybe paint the picture of what I've been talking about through the last few slides?
Definitely, I shall hand over to you, Naveen. So you can give us a little tour of the platform.
Okay,
thanks, Angelique.
Sharing screen here. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Great. Hi everyone. Just want to talk a little bit about the platform here for a couple of minutes. Now, I'm in here as a customer. I log into Payzaar. I'm hit with this dashboard. My homepage. It shows all of my payrolls that are currently in flight. Tells me what's relevant over the next week or so. Tells me all the payrolls that are coming up pending for action. I'm going to focus. You can see that they're all on, different stages of their payroll process. Some of them are red because, we're late with processing. Some of them are approaching the deadline, so they are in yellow. And some of them are well ahead of time, so they are in green. We define payroll as a 6-stage process. I'm going to focus today on the first 2 stages. So data prep and payroll approval. As a provider, I expect all of my data from my customers to come in a structured format in an easy way that I can take it out of here and put it into my payroll system, calculate payroll. That's what I want. I don't care how the data is coming out, where it's coming from for my customer, as long as I receive the data in a way that's structured, in a way that's accurate, that lets me import into my payroll systems. That's what I'm looking for. So if I'm just going to click into the Swedish payroll here for December. So I'm in here now as a customer. I'm on the first stage. I've got these different data grids. All of the data for these data grids come from different data sources. So if you think back to the slide that Trevor just showed a couple of minutes ago, you saw that, all of these data come from different systems. Core HR, Bamboo HR, all of these different systems have data, all of your employee information that's sitting on all of these different softwares. We're able to pull that automatically into Payzaar. We're automatically able to integrate with those systems. We're able to pull that data in, and we're able to look at that data on screen, tidy it up, make changes that we need before we push it across to the payroll provider. So what I did there is I've gone into one of those data grids, which is the overtime data grid. And on here, I can see all of my data on screen. I have some fields that are in yellow. I have some fields that are fine. So on here, I'm able to view the changes. So what that means is employees that are currently experiencing a change from the previous payroll period, I'm able to track that on this screen. So if I look at employee Fiona here, I can see that she's changing departments at the moment. So previously she was in sales, and at the moment she's in she's changing towards marketing. I can see that there are a couple of overtime rates changing for a few employees. So I can see that Ezekiel had a rate of 15 last month, and now he has an overtime rate of 16. So I'm able to track changes for employees from period to period before I push it across to my provider. I'm also able to automatically calculate some of the data that's coming in. So you might have data in its raw native format. When it's loaded, when it's automatically pulled into Payzaar, we have calculations that are integrated within these data grids that do the calculation automatically for you. So uncalculated data that's coming in is calculated before it's sent to the provider, because the provider needs it in a fixed form. I'm able to search on these data grids. So I'm able to search. I'm able to sort. I'm able to load more data, drag and drop data. I'm able to update data on the go if I want. I'm able to export data in a format that I need. So for instance, here I've got different ways in which I can export my data. I can export just this data grid. I can export all of the data grids that are part of the first stage, part of my payroll inputs as separate files. I'm able to include all of those data grid data into a single file on multiple sheets. I'm also able to, attach a document for an employee. So I'm able to attach a document for an employee. I'm able to leave a comment, see attached P45 for this employee. So I'm able to pull my data in from different sources. I'm able to update it on the go. I'm able to calculate any data that was uncalculated prior to upload. The data that's coming out of these client data systems might come through with different headers. We're able to standardize all those headers here for display. Again, when the provider then receives this data, and when he exports it, the provider is able to have different headers that are different from the customer's field columns, that are different from what you see on here. It's important because the provider then needs to take that data and put it into their payroll system. So we're able to have that separation. So the customer gets to import the data in the format that they want, but we get to see the data on screen in the format that we need, and then the provider is then able to export it in a format that they need to import it into their payroll system. On here, I'm able to, again, view changes, view errors. Let me see what error I have here. I'm missing a cost code. Cost code is mandatory for an employee. I'm able to enter a cost code. And now I no longer have any errors. I've corrected that error, no longer have any errors. I'm able to look at my payroll changes. Any missing records, important for me. These employees were processed in the last payroll cycle, not processed currently on this payroll cycle, highlighted to me as a missing record. Why have I missed this? So before I'm sending my changes to the provider, I'm able to see if I missed anything here with this with this drop down. When I've fully finished my data, I am able to send this across to the provider, or I'm able to submit this data grid. I'm going to use another data grid shortly now as an example, just to show you something slightly different. So on here, I've got a data grid for commissions. So if you think about your sales team, they're always meeting their targets and they're getting different commission rates, right? My sales manager is able to go in here and he's able to load data, load commission data for the sales team. But I don't want my sales manager to send data across to the provider. I'm able to have an approval process within the first stage so that my sales manager is able to load the data and push it across to me. I'm then able to go in here. I'm able to see the data that he shared, and I'm able to approve this for it to be sent to the provider. So you have an approval process in place. So I'm able to approve that, and that gets pushed. That we've also got another data grid that's currently set up for joiners and leavers. Important from time to time to keep track of the joiners and leavers that are constantly moving in the business. So on here, I'm able to track my joiners and leavers. I'm able to see 2 leavers now for the month of December. They're leaving in the month of December. And also I'm able to see who are my joiners. So I'm able to see that I have an employee, Madison Burns, and another employee, Kendra Giles, Keenan Barnett, who are new employees that are coming in for the month. So I'm able to have an explicit data grid for joiners and leavers. Important for the provider to have this explicit list of joiners and leavers as part of the payroll process. And I'm going to send that across to the provider as well. And I have one more data grid to get through. Okay, actually 2 more, but I'll just wrap it up real fast. So I've got a variable payments data grid. On here, I have some data that's prepared in terms of bonus, equity payment, and dental costs. All of the data here are coming from different sources. So I'm able to pull this data, or I'm able to load data on the go. So I'm going to load some data now. You can see that I've got bonus ready. I'm missing equity and dental payments. So I'm going to quickly load some data. And now my equity payment is ready. And then I'm able to load my dental costs real quick. So totally different file. And that's it. All my columns are ready to go. I'm able to push this across to the provider. So now, all of these changes that I'm doing, everything's audited. Everything's audited. Small change that's made, I'm able to track that down. So if when I scroll down here, you're going to see this activity log. This activity log is building up for every change that's been processed on the data grid. I'm getting a history of all the actions that I've taken prior to sending it to the provider. Here. The last grid that I have here is employee-related info. I'm just going to push that across to the provider. So all of my data, all of my payroll inputs have come in here. I've processed it. I've reduced my anomalies. I have saved time. I've updated data on the go. I've calculated data that's come in uncalculated. And now I'm able to push this across to the provider. Hi, Robin. Please find attached. And that's submitted. So now what happens is the first stage finishes. Provider then gets a little note to say, okay, all of the payroll inputs are now done. Provider then is prompted to go into the application. He's able to export the data in the format that he wants, and then he's ready to load that into his payroll system and prepare payroll. And as you can see, that message is gone through to the provider. I want to quickly talk about another workflow here that's actually come back from the provider. So this is, I've got one here ready for payroll approval, which means my provider has prepared data, got that, is prepared data, has then submitted it for approval to the customer. So that's come through here. Let's open that up here. So on here, this is me. I've received my payroll file, received this. I'm going to review this now. So you'll see I have a bunch of different tabs here. So before the customer approves payroll, he's able to see a pay element view of all the pay elements that are being processed as part of the payroll period. So in here, he's got these different categories. He's got all of these different pay elements that are being processed. He's able to drill down. He's able to see employee level information. They're able to export this. The customer is able to export this prior to approval. He's able to look at data at a pay element level here. Also able to look at data at an employee level. Able to export all of these screens. Currently, I'm comparing November with October, so that's the previous period. All previous periods that have processed are visible here, which means I'm able to compare the current period with any of the previous periods that I've processed. So I'm able to look at my difference in terms of a monetary value. I'm also able to look at my variance at a percentage. So that's data variance. So all of this is automated. It's automatically calculated because you have processed payrolls, processed previous periods. All of the data is in there. It's able to match current period with previous period, able to match current employee values of the current period versus previous period. So I can see here an employee Keenan Barnett, who's probably a joiner, doesn't have any data on the previous period, but has data on the current period. So I'm able to compare for an employee, I'm able to compare current period with previous period. I'm able to click into an employee and I get an employee level view of all the pay elements that are being processed for that employee. So I get a full overview of what's actually going on. I want to validate my data. So I go onto my data validation tab. Data validation is basically comparing input versus output. What was sent on the data grids on the first stage versus what's coming back from the provider. I'm able to do a direct match. So for on the data validation tab, I'm able to find anomalies that are being sent as part of my payroll process. So in here, I can see that I sent for Ezekiel, I sent a premium value of 16 krona, but when it was sent back by the provider, it was sent back as 50 krona. So I'm able to see that what I sent is not being sent back now. Input versus output, there is a mismatch, and that difference is being highlighted here. Might be an honest mistake, might not be. I'm able to accept this difference if I want. So on here, I'm able to select this. I'm able to accept the difference. So that no longer is highlighted as an error because, yeah, from time to time, there's going to be small changes that come through. and you're able to accept those differences. So on here, you're able to view everything. You're able to view all differences between input versus output, and this gives me an entire listing of all the errors that are there currently in my payroll file. So I can see what's being sent on my data grid, what's being sent back on the gross net file, and the difference. I'm able to export all of this and review it offline. If I'm happy with what's being sent, I'm able to go back onto the approval tab and approve payroll. And when payroll is approved, all of the reporting is updated. Your general ledgers are ready to go. Like this, at the point of approval, we're getting data in. All of the data that's coming in here is coming in its local currencies. Exchange rates kick in. Your consolidated payroll data is updated in a global currency on the reporting. General ledgers are updated and ready to go. And everything is streamlined. Everything is going from A to Z in a streamlined with proper integrations, proper automation. You're able to track everything down. You're able to minimize mistakes. You're able to reduce time, and yeah, just very easy to understand. I have clients who process massive payrolls, and they're able to set this up in the matter of minutes. They're able to set up a payroll in about 15-20 minutes, and they're ready to roll out, because as a channel partner, I'm able to standardize my process, define to my customer how I want my data, and they're able to set that up on the system to give you the data that you want in the format that you want for easy payroll processing. I think I've taken up too much of time. I'm just going to take a little break. If anyone has any questions, anything anyone wanna add from Trevor's standpoint, Angelique?
Yeah, I suppose. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Angelique, if you want it.
No, I was just going to say, yes, at any point, if you do have questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them. That's all I was going to ask.
Great. Okay, so I suppose, Naveen, have you completed what you were going to show the audience? We've a few slides left to go, or were you going anywhere else?
I just want to show what it looks like from the provider standpoint.
Sure.
And then I will close. So let me just share screen here. Just a sec. So now I'm logged in as a provider. So everything that was sent through by the customer, I get visibility of that as a provider. Now, as a provider, loads of payrolls in flight. I have a bunch of different customers here. So I've got 3 different customers, and I've got loads of payrolls within each customer. So I've got a dashboard where all of my customer data is channeled through. Nice and easy for me. I know what's upcoming in the next little while. I know what's pending for me to update. The payroll that I was working on was the Swedish payroll. And you can see loads of changes that were sent on the data prep stage with all those notes, all those messages from all those data grids that were processed. And I'm able to get in here and export my payroll inputs. So that in short. So good visibility. You get to view all of your input data in the one place. You're able to upload data from different data sources, share that with your provider. You bring it all together in a structured format for the provider. We're able to check for differences, check for errors, update data on the go. We're able to attach documents and any ad hoc comments. We're able to transform any data. We're calculating data that's uncalculated. We're able to build up a history within the activity log of the workflow that shows what's happened over time. We're able to export data in a customizable format. So depending on your payroll system, we have exports that are customizable. In terms of the data that's being sent back by the provider to the customer, you're able to check input versus output. You're able to view all of the errors that you've processed as part of payroll. You're able to correct those errors. You're able to accept any differences that you want. Reduces a lot of time. Your joiner leaver process is tracked within data validation. And then once payroll is approved by the customer, the reporting is ready. Accounting Connect, your general ledgers are all ready to go. And yeah, that nice and easy system to use. Self-service, all our customers know what they're doing. We just, bring them as part of implementation, train them up, and then we don't hear from them because they know what to do. They don't need our hand-holding anymore. They're able to self-serve themselves. Channel partners today are able to self-serve themselves. They're able to create customers on the go, create payrolls on the go, set these up, and they don't really need our help. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into the way the platform operates. And with that, I will close.
Great, thanks a million, Naveen. Very comprehensive review there. So I suppose we've I don't see any questions in the Q&A session just yet, so maybe we'll move forward to the case study. So I suppose you heard from me at the beginning, telling you what the future could look like. Naveen has given a whistle-stop tour of some of the key components of the application. Drive up data quality, improve the customer experience, analytics and reporting available to the customer on a self-service basis, manage all of your customer interaction all in one place, and get your service team members all working in that collaboration space also. So I suppose some things in terms of a case study. There are case studies available online, but just some highlights from a case study of an implementation we did with Paycheck Plus, who are, when you started working with them in 2020, were one of the largest Irish managed service payroll providers, a super outfit really, since acquired by Iris Group in the UK, but they've been using Payzaar for a number of years. Very much an organization that had grown with an entrepreneurial spirit, but recognized there was time for change. So if we want to move through this, they needed a solution to help satisfy what customers, how they wanted to work and interact with them. They chose Payzaar. They white labeled it, so we put it in for them on a white label basis, their own branding, their own imagery, etc. So it looked very much like their own solution. The business has continued to grow. They've pretty much doubled in size since we started working together, and I think our solution is a significant part of that. Obviously, their service capabilities and their own differentiation helps, but like having the technology in the back end has really helped them to scale. And if we keep moving through this, part of that migration onto Payzaar was we put in 40 to 50 clients migrated across with zero client loss due to migration over the period of time. So we trained the team up, which was great. They ran the migration program themselves without actually having to take on any additional staff. So their payroll specialists ran this program for them, and it was really, really positive. I suppose the key impacts of this, we want to just move forward a little bit again. Some key impacts of this was visibility around their own KPIs. Their business has increased top line more than doubled, while they've 30% less resources working on the payroll production process. So a key component of that was the time saving achieved through Payzaar. So just think about that. If you could double your business with 30% less resources on payroll production, there's some nice profitability to be made there. So I think that's one of the, it's great to be able to share an insight like that. But more importantly, it's great that a customer of ours is willing to, I suppose, endorse the case study to say, well, look, other companies should be using it, should be using Payzaar. So I think one of the other nice pieces as well is that the team there locally really like using the tool. I think it's up the game for them in terms of their skills and their own marketability. The client's net promoter scores have gone up as well, which is a key leading indicator of a client's propensity to renew the service as well. So in a business like payroll, where retention is king, it's nice to be able to see hard metrics like the net promoter score going up. So look, just check out our website if you're interested in reading more about that case study or other customer case studies that we have. They're all available online, and I think just a great testament to how Payzaar can help power managed service payroll providers to achieve some great hard results, but also, let's not forget, improve the customer experience and improve the employee experience as well. So it's great to have those proof points. So I'm going to close there and leave us a couple of minutes if there's any questions.
Thank you for that, Trevor. Yes, if you do have any questions, now is the time. But we will also be sending you the video recording of this webinar by email. So if something comes to mind later, just simply reply to that email, drop us a message. We're also always available by LinkedIn as well. If you think of any, do you have any questions?
So I actually see one, Angelique, from Patrick. So Patrick, yeah, thanks for the question. We're innovating rapidly, Patrick, and so for us, we're all about driving additional capabilities around integration, additional capabilities around automation, additional capabilities around data analytics and insights. So a very exciting roadmap ahead. And we do take a very much an outside-in approach to developing our roadmap. And customers of ours can collaborate with us to deliver the features we've already built and the features we've built into the future. So continue to invest in technology. I suppose one of the nice things is we're technology focused. And I think it's probably worthwhile just to point out, we don't calculate payroll ourselves. We don't have any intention of doing so. So all of our focus is around technology innovation and how can we help the customers and providers of payroll services to collaborate, integrate, automate, and deliver a more seamless experience. So stay tuned, Patrick, and if you want to reach out to us, we'd be very happy to have a more detailed conversation.